Hi and welcome to Intensive Driving Courses NI. We're going to do another route around and around the Newtonards area. And remember to subscribe to the channel, like and comment as much as you want, folks, and also hit the bell for notifications. Today's drive, we're going to be taking out towards Bangor, which will take in Crawfordsburn Road and a rural sort of road back in towards Newtonards. So again, we'll do commentary, and again, just to reassure, this is not to teach different procedures than your current instructor or maybe family friend has taught you. This is maybe to offer tips and advice just on basically what we see as we drive along. So we're starting off just outside the DVA Driving Test Centre, Newtonards and Jubilee Road. So we're just going to do a normal move off and see what sort of comes, and a bit of a commentary, as I say, along the way. So normal move off procedure. And we're heading off onto Jubilee Road, which is a 30-mile-an-hour area as indicated there by consistent street lights. And any previous viewers to any of the sort of routes round, Jubilee Road's a quite industrial type area, so there's a lot of sort of different types of businesses like tire places, tile places, so you do get a lot of sort of late random braking from people who've maybe missed their turn, etc. You do get quite a large number of other learner drivers who could be at obviously different abilities. Larger vehicles too, maybe looking for deliveries, and sometimes you can get lorry drivers who maybe cover for other drivers, so they're maybe not as familiar with the area as their colleagues. So we're just heading down, even though it's a 30-mile-an-hour road, folks, and just doing in and around about sort of the low 20s. Always remember your speed limit is the maximum allowed. It's not always the target that has to be achieved. Now, the first main junction on the route is going to be a set of traffic lights, which we're going to go left. So you're going to do your normal early procedure. We can see it's a left turn only, so indicating is optional. And we've got the arrow, and we've now got the full green there to proceed if it's clear. Heading round, and we're now entering onto the Cumber Road in Newtonards. I positioned there early for the right-hand lane for straight, because as you can see, there's a left filter built into the lights, which indicates left turn only. Now, if you're on your sort of driving test and you get into the wrong lane, just go where that lane is taking you. You're not marked down on route finding on the test. Now entering onto South Street. South Street is fairly sort of packed with a lot of parked vehicles. So again, you could be in the sort of mid-teens, low 20s, etc. Depending on the vehicle, could be second or third. The vehicle I'm in today, second gear, is quite happy. Where possible, try to give a car door width at least. That's obviously if the door opens, but if you think about it, most people will take like a metre stride. So a good metre out where possible is good. Check as well when you're coming up below the cars for feet or wheels, because you may not see the person through the tint of the glass. Travelling down shortly to a set of traffic lights at a four-way junction. We're going to turn right, so we're doing our normal mirrors, positioning early. And I'm going to indicate, because there's enough people to benefit. The lights are green but could change. We've now got far enough that we're now committing, checking into the road to make sure traffic is moving well. And we've now entered Court Street. Court Street, fairly busy residential area, so still 30 because we haven't seen a change. And just coming into view very, very shortly, it's going to be a traffic island. We're going to merge over to the right just after it. So normal mirrors indicate right, actually, to show cars coming towards you and behind you that you're going that way in case they cut in across or behind. Nice slide over into the right hand lane. We're in Old Cross Street and we're following the signs. It says Portaferry Bangor there on the signs. Travelling round and checking the delivery van in case there's somebody in front of it with dockets, etc. And we're going to move over to the left hand side. So again, early mirrors. No need for an indicator because there's nobody really to benefit from it. And we're travelling down to the next set of traffic lights where we'll be turning to the left. Always make sure you leave the keep clear area in the right hand lane and white open for the fire station, which is just past. Again, it's a left turn only, so indicating or not, whatever your preference is. Always stop leaving tyres and tarmac in view with the vehicle in front. And it just means if they break down, it's an early negotiate or an easier negotiate round. And obviously if you stall, lurch forward, etc., you've given yourself a wee bit of a safe buffer zone. Very, very good as well if you consider maybe fumes of the car in front. The closer you are, if you've got your aircon on, they could be brought into the cabin as well. There's our left filter arrow, just checking mirrors, especially for bikes and motorbikes. We're now turning into the new road, and unless you know different or told different, always position to the left lane unless blocked or etc. by roadworks. Now we've turned into George's Street, or A21, that may come up on some sat-navs. Proceeding straight at the traffic lights. Have been green for some time, so anticipate them, and there they are, and it means then it's not as abrupt stop. Handbrake on, because we're on a wee bit of a hill, and you can sit in neutral or you can sit in first gear, dependent on your ability at the time. I'm just sitting here, handbrake in neutral, just to give the foot a wee bit of a rest. Most cars will have a foot rest just to the left of the clutch, and it's always good to press down on that, just to get a bit of circulation if you find that the nerves are coming up. Ahead, we've got the first of two roundabouts. Now, the two roundabouts are quite close together, and we're going to go straight at both of them, so the left-hand lane is the preferred lane. Travelling up, we've got a wee bit of activity here, not just with cars, but also pedestrians, etc. So we're creeping up again, just thinking about leaving that room to get round any stranded vehicles. Because we're going straight in the left lane, try to make a big C, not drifting into the lane beside you, and your normal leaving procedure that your instructor has told you. Coming up to a pedestrian crossing. This is a staggered one, so it's one side at a time goes, because it's got an island there in the centre. And you can probably see on the sign, we're going to be going straight on towards Bangor, St Patrick's Trail. No flashing amber at the crossing, which indicates it's a puffin crossing. The Pelican has the flashing amber phase. And again, coming up, normal procedures at roundabouts, scan and plan, look for any possible safe gaps. Again, making the C, normal leaving procedure. And as you can see, we've got a ghost island, which the car in front drove over, which we can't do because it's a solid white line, which means only enter if you have no alternative. We're now on Bangor Road, A21, still a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, as indicated by consistent street lights and no other repeaters. A lot of people mistake this road for a dual carriageway. Although it's two lanes on either side, it does not have that central reservation or a grass verge, etc. So paint does not form a dual carriageway, a physical reservation. Rule 136 in the highway code, if you want to check that out, we'll explain that as well. Looking further up, the left lane's starting to open up, so I'm just going to do my mirrors. I'm not indicating as the vehicle in front is, because I don't want to look as if I'm going into the next side road or pulling up. Road conditions are dry, so I'm going to check my 2-second gap, 1001 and 1002. So you pick a fixed object, like a tree, a lamppost, a sign that you can remember. Let the vehicle in front pass, and either say 1001, 1002, or maybe use a phrase like only a fool breaks a 2-second rule. You want to finish whatever phrase or time before or at the point you chose at the very, very latest. We've now entered into a 40 because we're now in a suburban area, and we're going to go straight on to the next traffic lights, which will then eventually take us on to a dual carriageway. As we can see, the traffic lights are red. We've now changed, but remember, people could stall in front. You could get very slow moving vehicles as well, the likes of lorries, vans, etc. So not everybody will move off as brisk as the car that you're in. Traffic now is moving quite well, staying to the left-hand lane, still in a single carriageway with just an additional lane for space. We have not come to the dual carriageway as yet, but you will see that starting to form just after the cone start. We've got our central reservation. The other thing in dual carriageways is your lanes should start to widen out quite significantly. So there we go, we're now onto the dual carriageway. You can see the difference now in the lanes, as indicated by the space available around the vehicle in front. We've got roadworks. Just remember, roadworks can cause other hazards like cones, maybe sitting slightly over the line. You could have the likes of workforce, maybe down in ditches and stuff, so they're not always in view, but the risk is still there. National speed, we've passed, which indicates obviously 45 for ourselves, but 70, but obviously with the lane down to 1, you would drive according to the conditions. Now this road here is quite interesting because it's a dual carriageway. It has consistent lights, which normally indicates 30, but because it's national, it does have repeater signs. You will see one starting to come up there on the left just before the bus stop. The reason that this road has got lights, it's a very heavily used commuter route between Ards and Bangor. now sitting bang on the 45, dual carriageway driving. Just remember, very, very easy to daydream and switch off. Keep alert, look as far forward as you can, frequent mirror checks, keep the vehicle nice and positioned centre in the lane. Depending on the car you're driving, 4th gear, 5th gear. Alright, this car is quite happy in 4th, and it's not really looking 5th gear until 50, but your car might be asking for it. Just checking the junction on the left in case there's any early sort of movement. The other thing on dual carriageways, vehicles will be going past you quicker, and it's very easy to get pulled along thinking that you're going too slow. Check your speed with your mirror checks. So top mirror, left mirror, check the speed right. And try to do that a few times a minute, maybe 7-8 second intervals if you can. White lines in centre, quite short, big gaps indicating it would be safer to overtake, obviously, because you've got an overtaking lane beside you. You will see those lengthening, indicating higher risk, like junctions, traffic lights, roundabouts, etc. So again, still national speed. You can see the repeater sign there with the street lights, which overrules that 30 rule. Coming up in the distance, we can see a 40. Treat the red circle around the 40 like a red traffic light. As soon as you see it, check your mirrors and start to ease off. So you're not trying to lose all the speed in a very short space of time. So looking ahead in the traffic here, we've got a large vehicle, maybe carrying DIY, bricks, etc. So it's maybe not going to be the quickest moving off. So I'm just taking that into consideration because vehicles in front might try to rush. So just give them time to move out. Looking at the brake lights, the vehicle in front's gone out. They're like mini traffic lights, to be honest. You know the vehicle then's going to start to proceed. Slow vehicle there is just moving in to the left. We've got a narrow system pointing in our direction, and we're now proceeding on. Just scanning the crossing, we can see a pedestrian there with a young child who could have activated it. And now we're just building up the speed in accordance to the flow of traffic, but still trying to keep that 2-second gap. And obviously we'd have a 4-second gap if there was wet on the road. Now we still got street lights. So because the last speed sign we seen was 40, we should see a repeater sign indicating. If you're unsure, stay to 30 unless indicated otherwise. So as you can see there's actually no repeater sign, so I'm just staying at 30, and that just keeps yourself correct. Now we have a 30 coming up to your roundabout. We're going to take the first exit signpost at the Rathgale. So normal early procedures, folks. Don't leave it all too late, because you want that last 6 to 8 car lengths for a scan and plan time. Checking to the right, out of view of the video, obviously there is traffic approaching. Don't feel safe that I could emerge on, but now I do, because I'm not going to cause anybody to slow down, stop or swerve. The last speed sign I seen was 30. I don't see anything different in this road. And this is the Rathgale road, so I'm going to take this as a 30 as well. And the constant street lights and no other signs is sort of backing up that decision. So I'm just staying in 3rd gear. This is quite a wide road, and a lot of drivers speed and tailgate, and it's very, very easy to give in to that temptation. And the reason it's 30 is you've got quite a few side roads. So that means you're going to get a lot of slowing to turn in, you've got a lot of emerging out to build up. So the speed is accordant. Also, think about crossing the road. The wider the road, the longer it's going to take you to cross. So all these factors come into why speed limits are set as they are. They're not just set for drivers, they're set for the perspective of everybody in the area. White lines faded a wee bit here in the centre, but we can still have a good sort of guide onto it. Checking ahead, we've got a protection zone, looks like a garage coming up. And a wee tip around garages is, diesel spilled on the road can cause a lot of motorcyclists to slip and slide. So sometimes motorcyclists will take a bit of a strange journey, or strange route should I say, in and around garages if they sense diesel on the road. We're going to follow straight on at the traffic lights, so I'm just checking again for all road users, checking the mirrors obviously for bikes, not changing gear, because there's no point, because I don't know which one I'm going to need. Now the traffic's moving, I'm just under 10, so I'm going down into 1st. But if I was above 10, 2nd probably would have been the gear. A little bit more sort of trees here. It's looking a bit more rural, but I haven't seen a change of speed sign as yet, so this is still 30. But be prepared for drivers to possibly think it's higher because of the trees. just remember with speed limits is somebody has been out and assessed the road and has maybe seen risks that you don't take into consideration. As you can see, the cars in front now, I'm doing exactly 30, are drawn away. So they're doing approximately about 40. I've got a vehicle behind that is trying to push me quite a bit. But I'm not going to give in because it's my license, livelihood and risk of injury that I do not want to risk. So again, third gear, fourth gear, depending on the vehicle. This car I'm in is quite happy in third gear. Now I have a cyclist there, quite a queue behind, so I'm now scanning for any frustrated drivers who might make a sort of rash decision to go round. Traffic's starting to ease off now at the other side, which is good. Always check to see who's around you, what's happening in front of you, folks. Driving's like live television, it changes every single second. So we've now got long lines in the centre indicating overtaking's allowed, but it's probably not the most advised at that point. And we're going to travel up, sort of sharp bend to the right, and then we're going to turn left at a set of traffic lights. So early procedures that your instructor has taught you. Bit of a hill start. A lot of people panic with hill starts, but remember on the test they will give you an extra couple of seconds to do it. So obviously apply your handbrake unless your vehicle's an automatic one. The vehicle I'm in, average petrol, you're looking about 2 to 2.5 in the revs. Make sure you get your dip at the back before you release the handbrake. And remember, if you stall or feel the car's going to roll, control the roll, okay? You're not going to be marked or failed on one stall on a hill. But if you do stall, especially at traffic lights, always check your lights are still for you, etc. before you proceed. We've now entered on the Belfast Road. As we can see, it's a dual carriageway section, carrying a speed limit of 60, 45 for us. We're going to take the next off slip just after we see the triangle signs, so I'm checking the mirrors, normal procedure. Try to glide in where the arrow shows you. And this travels round where you see Dundonald there on the signs, quite a big sweeping approach. It's an open junction, so I can sort of see well to the right, but out of view you can see there's a cyclist, or I can see, sorry, there's a cyclist, so he is holding traffic back. There's quite a few cars there anyway. And we're going to go onto the road, and because we haven't seen a speed limit sign telling us any different, we're going to deem that this is national speed. Now, good example, just shows you never know what's going to happen on a drive. We've got a cyclist in front of us, so you're going to maybe see cars maybe taking chances. I want to make sure it's totally clear, which it is, behind and beside. Now we've got a van. I'm not going to crowd the cyclist. Pop the indicator on to show traffic that I'm intending to come round. But always make sure you give that 1.5 meters distance. Again, just on the bend here, so I just want to make sure I've got a best view possible. And also I don't want to panic the cyclist either. Looks like we've got a low bridge coming up, so I'm expecting maybe high side vehicles. Again, just not getting the view there to make that decision. Cyclist in front is being very, very well behaved. Some cyclists do take up more of the room, which is fine, but this one here is taking up just what is relevant. So there's the low bridge. A couple of cars coming. So hopefully after these two, and I'm going to move well out while I can, and before I move back in, check to see the cyclist in both the middle and left mirrors. And remember, other drivers may pressure you to overtake, only do when it's safe. I'm going to take the next road. We're on the Ballysalla Road, by the way, on the left where the blue car is. Because we're on a national speed, mirrors a little bit earlier, indicator a bit earlier, give yourself time to get the speed down and the gear down. You never really want to be turning in any higher than second gear into a bend, or into a junction, should I say. This road we're on now is the Crawfordsburn Road, still national speed, indicated by non-consistent lights and the fact I haven't seen a sign telling us anything different. You're going to see a sort of selection of white lines. At the minute we've got the single, and it's very, very short, and that's sort of your safest place for an overtake where needed. But hills, corners, junctions, the line then should obviously lengthen up. So, rural road hazards, we're now thinking, obviously we'd seen the cyclist earlier on, you've no footpaths, so if anybody's walking, you've lost about 1/4 of the road. You may get, obviously, horse and riders, but the main thing is, Country roads country areas like dual carriageways, a lot of drivers tend to switch off, all right, and that's then when the hazards come on to them very, very quick. We've now got the longer white lines, normally indicating hills, corners, junctions, making overtaking not the safest, all right, still allowed, but always wait for the shorter line if you can. A couple of parked cars up, not too sure if they're on the road or a lay-by. Yeah, they're well parked over, but there could be people then behind them, maybe changing shoes, etc. Children running about. Coming up, we've got a warning triangle here with a sharp bend to the right, so I'm just doing an early mirror check. Because remember, check your mirrors before any change of speed or direction, whether or not you're using brakes. Positioning well for the bend. Coming round, looks like we've got a series of bends coming up. Road conditions are very, very good here. There's a wee bit of sort of coarseness on the road, so it has been resurfaced, but not recently. And remember, every sign, whether it's triangle, round, or rectangle in the highway code, gives you information, warning or orders. So use that as your instruction manual round. Coming up to the brow of a hill, think that there could be something just parked beyond it. So again, checking the mirrors in anticipation. See the road's now bending to the left, so position more out to the centre for a better view. Again, a similar corner, and you're always sort of anticipating that people may cut the corners. Warning triangle, just with a yellow border to make it stand out more. I've got a staggered junction, and normally we get signs like that and slow on the road, speed lower, observe warning. There's been maybe a bit of history at that junction, where drivers have maybe fallen foul of a collision, etc. Starting to get a few more telephone poles, electric poles, which normally indicate you're coming towards a suburban or urban area, so expect increased vulnerable road users and a possible reduction in speed, which we can see. Always check before you reduce the speed, in case somebody is late braking behind you and you might need to brake a wee bit earlier. So now sitting bang on the 40, I've got 2 or 3 cars behind wanting me to go quicker, but to be honest, don't give in. If they want to go around you, they can. People being too close behind you is technically known as tailgating, and it causes a lot of pressure, a lot of rash decisions, sometimes not for the best. Got a vehicle here just reversing in, looks quite an awkward one, so I'm just reducing the speed. They're well off the road now, and it just shows you, expect the unexpected. Now, I didn't have to do any late braking because it eased off coming up to the hill. Now I got a kind of rare sign there for deer, so there must be sort of fields and stuff around. And if the sign's up, obviously it has happened. Got a few more residential streets. We're starting to increase, obviously, the use of footpaths. So possibly a 30 coming soon. We're still in the 40 there, indicated by the repeater. And the 30 is going to come into view shortly. So again, checking those mirrors, picking a relevant gear as well, so dropping back down to 3rd, and you've got a painted repeater there just to emphasize it. Now we're going to take the next road on the right, just on the bend here, so nice early mirrors. Remember, on a hill the car will run away with you, so nice early braking, check for the oncoming gap, and always try to right angle your right turns where possible. We've now turned into Saratoga Avenue. Still the 30, but you'll probably find you'll be doing in and around sort of 20, 25 at the very most, because you're thinking around increased of parked cars, doors opening, and so on. So here, because I'm coming over the centre white line, checking the mirrors, no need to indicate in that occasion because there's nobody there to benefit. But remember, if you need to borrow a bit of road, borrow a bit of road. So again, it's going to happen here, checking the mirrors, indicating, because there is a vehicle further down. Checking the mirrors before you move back in as well, in case the vehicle you're passing starts to move off, because not every driver will check his or her blind spot correctly. Now, sort of hovering in 2nd gear, again, could be 2nd or 3rd. But remember, steep hills, gravity will gather the speed up quite a bit, so make sure you're not too high a gear. Again, checking the mirrors before position back, but I can see parked cars further down, so I'm not positioning positioning back too far. Just going to wait back for the silver car, giving an indicator to show my intentions. Glance out the window to make sure no bikes or any early overtakers have come around. The end of this road, we're going to turn left. This is a closed junction because it's closed in view on both sides, or at least one. Checking the mirrors, indicating Try to position where possible, like 10 to 10. Gives you a better view out your left-hand window. And make sure always as well for cars, check for the bikes and the motorbikes as well, because the smaller road users sometimes get missed because they get sort of hidden behind your windscreen pillars and head straights and stuff like that. End of the road at the giveaway junction, we're going to turn left again. Giveaway sign emphasising it's a busier road than maybe the last one. So again, nice early procedure as taught by your instructor. If there's room, folks, and only if there's room, trickle on up again into the top corner, checking well both ways, cars, bikes, motorbikes. We're now entering onto Glenford Road. We've left Glenford Road, we're now in Hartford Link. Still a 30-mile-an-hour speed, indicated by consistent street lights, no other repeater signs. Traffic lights ahead, we're going to turn right. So normal procedure with your mirrors, there's a right turn sort of slip road. Try to come in after the Ghost Island, and we're going to position just in behind the other learner driver. And you're now thinking that they possibly could stall, get panicked. It could be the first time they've done a right turn with no filter assistance. So as you can see, they're not as quick moving off as the others because the instructor could be given instructions. So we're going to move up just to where they were. They're actually sitting over the crossing there. They should be a little bit further out, but maybe the vehicle coming to turn into their right didn't allow enough room. So I may have to wait until the next green light. Okay, it's only if this white car clears and the lights are still green can I head out to take my attempt. So I'm just going to apply the handbrake. It's turned into more of a wait than a pause. So there we go, the lights have changed. I'm in position. The white car now is clearing, which they're allowed to do so if the oncoming has allowed them. So obviously we've got a time just until the lights change. So you can see there's a crossing ahead. You have two rows of studs. I'm going to try and position the back wheels just slightly over the other side of the crossing, because you don't block that area because it's a sort of guide area for pedestrians. And with a vehicle coming the other side of the road to turn also, so they may come out and take more room than they should. So I'm creeping out slowly. I'm able to position just shy of the studs, which is good. I'm now checking further up the road for the gap on the oncoming. It's hopefully going to be after this car with the poppy. Now proceeding in. The other vehicle's turning right. It's up to them now to sort themselves out. And we've turned now into William Street. Same speed limit. Haven't seen another sign telling us different. But again, we've got parked cars on one side, so I'm going to do in around about 25 or so. Again, 30 doesn't have to be hit all the time. You're going to bend sort of sharply here to the right. Road sort of narrows quite a bit. You're near a bus station where a lot of obviously buses head in. I'm going to go straight on at the lights, so I'm going to try and get tucked in behind this Focus. So just checking the mirrors, gliding in. I don't have to get straight because I want to leave those tires and tarmac just in case. Light's been green for some time, so it could just be a case of edging down the queue. It's not always a guarantee that you're clearing, but we're now committed. Looking further down, seems a lot of cars positioned in the right hand lane, so there must be parked ones as there is. And we're going to take the second left on the roundabout there, indicated towards Bangor. Park cars right the whole way up on the left. So what I would do here is check the mirrors, glide in, don't indicate, because you don't look as if you're taking the first exit, and then when you can, indicate for the second. We have now turned into John Street, coming up to another roundabout quite soon. Going to take the first exit left, so normal procedures. Remember, scan and plan, normal sort of judgment when joining, and renew your indicator if it clicks off. So as I say, we're on John Street, so quite slow moving traffic. We've got the other learner driver still a couple of cars ahead. Again, you don't know what sort of area they're at, you know how many lessons they've done. Could be their first drive ever in the Urbans, could be doing their test later this afternoon, you don't know. Next set of traffic lights coming into view, we're going to turn to the right. So early mirrors and positioning. Again, it's a right turn arrow. So preference to me would be to indicate, because you may give valuable information to pedestrians as well. Just leaving tires and tarmac here with the white car in front, just in case they break down. We can look at the light here. We've got a filter built in. Now you don't need to wait for the filter to come on. You can go on a normal green or any light as long as oncoming has stopped, and obviously you've crossed your line safely on green. So it could again be maybe this sequence of lights. It may be the second, because we're not the front car in the queue, so it's not guaranteed. So advice when you're sitting at traffic lights, you know, don't daydream, don't look into shops, don't look into the other cars. Keep looking at the lights, keep looking behind, keep looking for bikes, motorbikes that could be filtering through. Cars in front, drivers in front in general can still stall 10, 20, 30 years after passing their test. So don't always expect it's going to go perfect. Most junctions have gone now, so maybe the crossing or ourselves. So we can see now we've got the normal green, which means position out as the front car and wait. So again, the learner driver here is probably quite tentative on traffic lights, and obviously is listening to what the instructor is saying. Car in front there did not move off too quickly, which is very, very good. So they're not trying to crowd the learner driver in front. The filter arrow depends really on the lights. Could come on 15 seconds, 20 seconds after. So the learner driver in front now has moved more out into the center, into the center. So there's the arrow. So hopefully now we can all proceed, which we can. And we're just following round, and this is going to take us back into South Street. Again, try not to crowd the vehicles in front. Parked vehicles now on both sides, so good rule of thumb, drop at least 5 miles an hour for each side. So I'm doing about 20, regardless of what other drivers want you to do. Remember, it is your decision of the speed that you pick, and always make sure it is safe for the road and traffic conditions. It's going to be a double set of traffic, well, 2 sets of traffic lights quite close. The first ones I'm going to go straight on, but I'm going to use the right hand lane, and that will make it easier for the second set. As you can see, you can go in this lane straight as well. Just follow now the other learner driver, because a lot of people will panic the first few lights they do. They're always thinking they're going to stall, etc. So they will take an extra couple of seconds just until the feet get a bit more comfortable. Now I'm going to turn right at the next set of lights, so doing our normal mirrors procedure, indicate, try not to cross the ghost island unless the lane is already full. Again, there's a filter arrow built in, but it's whatever comes first, gap or light. So we're just going to let the white car clear, and we weren't able to cross the line safely there. So we should obviously get the next sequence. So again, if there is 2 rows of studs, try to clear the second line, the furthest one up, so you're not sitting over it for any pedestrians. Also look into the road that you're traveling into, see if there's any build-up of traffic or roadworks, etc. In this case there isn't, so I'm just going to move out. Cleared my crossing now, so I'm now looking for the gap in the traffic, or the arrow, whatever comes soonest. So hopefully after this taxi here. Heading back now into Jubilee Road, back into that industrial type area. Cars parked on one side, so again about 25. You can see there you've got oncoming vehicles positioning more in the centre. So we're just working accordingly. Now just after where the 2 cars are parked on the left, you get a wee bit of an S-bend, and a lot of drivers drive in the middle of the road here, as you can see with the lorry, so be very, very careful. Just try and keep roughly about a metre if you can. Drop the speed well down, so it's doing 15 to 20 there. Follow the curve round, don't sort of straight line it. And we're now heading back up towards the outside of the test centre. So we've got a lorry, quite awkward here, so we're going to check our mirrors. Give just a couple of flashes of the signal, don't look as if we're taking any right turn. And checking the mirrors, make sure you can be safe to slide back in. and we're just going to pull up, folks, just before the test centre, just in case there's any other tests coming back. So normal pulling in sequence, check behind, beside, indicate if necessary, position well, beside the curb, obviously not on it, and then secure your vehicle. So that's another route for intensive driving courses NI. Remember, if you like, please subscribe, comment, like, and hit the bell for any further notifications of videos. Have a great day, folks. Keep safe. Enjoy the learning.